Hello everybody, welcome to Nature's Pupil. Thank you for tuning in. Today's video, the topic is African Americans and Africans, the love and hate relationships. Why do African Americans hate Africans, and also Africans seems to not go along with African Americans? This is a really interesting video. I think you guys should watch, start from the beginning up till the end, because you're talking about it's a person who has experienced these things in first hand, primarily because or due to the fact that I'm myself a person of African descent, and I've lived with African Americans. I've had several encounters with them, and I've sort of sat down to evaluate and analyze what are the things that might be behind these certain attitudes or behaviors in these groups that are literally seem to have the same origins, same bloodline, same genetic makeup, however very different in the mindset and the thought process. All right, getting right into it. There's one time I was in China, and we had a group of people who were sort of interacting, and there were a couple of African Americans, and this was my first encounter with African Americans. So one of the things I noticed, so this is a brief history story that I'm going to give, so that I can give you a briefer or like a broader overview of what is my perspective and what is the reason why there is this mismatch. So when we're talking to the African Americans, their tone, their engagement, their relatability, and their interest in developing a relation or engaging socially seem to be very minor, attached to factors such as arrogance, such as a sense of supremacy, superiority, a better accent, a better custom, better culture, and whatnot. But over time, the more interactions I had with African Americans, I realized that this behavior it's not something innate to the African American people. I would say it's a survival mechanism, a way of coping with a stressful environment. All right, now I have to get into the systems of it and what happens. What is it that is differentiating African Americans and Africans in general is really the cultural values. And this stems from the fact that this is my personal opinion, guys. This is my personal opinion. One of the things I think that happens or is happening with African Americans is that they have an existential crisis. So they had to build up a new identity that is not innate to the African culture, to the African thought process, to the African way of thinking. Imagine you being transferred or sort of moved from a place that you've never known, and to go do things that other people want you to do. Basically, I'm talking about slavery, but I can definitely tell that there is an aspect of rage and anger and dissatisfaction in the African American state of mind, that it's sort of I think it's a remnant or residual a residual resentment from what happened before. And I have my own personal opinions on what happened in slavery, in the times of slavery. I don't think what the story tells about slavery is true. There's a lot of facts that have to be broken down, have to be explained, and have to be clarified. But now, okay, I want to get deeper on what are the root causes of this attitude of African Americans. What is the root cause of this attitude? Like biologically speaking, right? In terms of phenotypes, African people of Negroid descent or people of sub-Saharan descent are genetically, phenotypically speaking, I'm not talking about genetic code, phenotypical, which means the exterior appearance. Compared to all races, Africans seem to be a little bit off caste, a little bit, we're a little bit separated because our skin tone is darker. I mean, there are people of South Asians like Indians, Pakistanis. They also have dark skin. But you talk about our features, like the structure of the face, the hair texture, a lot of factors. So, this is one of the things that make me believe that the way we, in a society, in an African society, that's one thing that is really essential for the cohesiveness and for the integral structure of the society, and that's nothing besides respect. So in an African culture, if you are born and raised in an African culture, one of the things you realize, be it in the tribes, be it in the villages, in the cities, everywhere, respect is an integral part of the society. Why I tell you this? Because this is an innate aspect of African people, is that they sort of tend to take all memories, all events, and all aspects of life in a very passionate manner. They're very passionate, like really passionately. They really give their hearts to it, and when there's a distress to the structure of respect and hierarchical posts in the society, that puts a lot of stress in their brains. And that's what I've noticed in the African Americans, that it's so stressed. Their brains are so stressed because primarily Caucasians, the way they interact and the way they set hierarchical respect in a society is way different from African customs, and that sort of activates a sense of, a ricocheting attitude to show that I'm boss, I'm the best, I am at the top, I can fight back, I have to protect my respect, I need it by all means, and that brings that attitude. For Africans, on the other hand, Africans have never experienced this thing. Africans are what they were supposed to be aeons, thousands of years ago. That's how they live. Respect has always been there. So when an African moves, say from somewhere in Ghana, and he moves to African Americans, he sees physically, externally, he sees a brother, a cousin, but the mind, the spirit is of a dissatisfied, betrayed person. And this is also a thing that I think African Americans feel, that Africans are sort of betrayed and forgotten, and past the state where they reach the Americas, they were left all them by themselves. So there isn't any source or motivation to sort of attach or get back to the roots, and also lack of interest. There isn't much interest in both parties to sort of resolve the situation, get along together, and find a common point. One of the things I can tell is that Americans, white Americans, or Americans that had origins from Europe, tried to integrate ways of living and ways of understanding the world as far as education, attainment, quality of life, having a stable relation, having a marriage, having kids, being monogamous, all these things to African people of African descent, African Americans. However, this fails still today, because you look at the rates of divorce in the African American communities, just up high. Single mothers is just sky high, because this has always been the nature of the African man. And many people will say, oh, but African people have stable relationships, they have stable marriages. Well, those are the ones because are you to move in Africa and go to analyze and study the society there, you'll say that most of the married couples, the man is out there cheating, because it's just the generational inertia that stays in the blood and in the habits of the man. Anyways, there are a lot of things to tell. I think I'll extend this video farther beyond 10 minutes because I just want to explain that there is no reason of Africans. My personal view, I think humanity or being human in general shouldn't be depicted over facts that we look similar or we look dissimilar. Myself in particular, most of my friends are not looking like me. All the best friends I've had, they don't look like me. Why? Because it's the spirit that we connect in. A person who likes to throw jests that make you laugh like crazy, a person who has great ideas, a person who teaches you about World War II stories that you didn't know, and you're so fascinated, you're so engaged in knowing. That's the person that you connect with because he loves the things you love. So it's mainly about the brain's happiness. It's not about being someone who looks like you. I think it's essentially it. So all in all, I think and I believe that Africans and African Americans should see each other as people who, although we look like each other, but we shouldn't try to stress things to try to fuse us over our origins or over anything like that, because I think it's not a matter of reconciliation. It's a matter of knowing how to live together and without considering looks, race, or origin or culture. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here in the video. I hope you like the video. Share, like, and subscribe, and see you in the next one. Bye for now.